Hey, what's happening, guys? Dan Darrow here with another Options and Play video update. So, you ride momentum, right? You ride momentum in the market for chart patterns, but you also ride momentum in the market for different styles of trades, right? It's you wanna stick with the hot hand. You wanna really keep focusing on what's working. And right now, what's working is breakouts, trend continuation, and rotation, right? So things that have been consolidating or things that are pushing up into resistance, right? We've seen it a handful of times. You're starting to see a lot of breakouts in names that are pushing up into resistance. MELI, another great example today, right? So had this one going into earnings. I mean, top name pushing into resistance, pop and ran. Etsy, top name pushing to resistance, pop and ran, right? So what I've been focusing on, just as the market has continued to grind, is basically like these bullish setups into resistance, and basically it's rotation, right? So you're looking, I mean, the ones that break out, then they pause, consolidate, and then you're looking for like the next group or the next couple names that are about to go, right? So as we keep this really steady trend higher, it's just rotation, breakouts, keep riding that bullish trend. And you know, I, I'm sure I don't need to tell you that the FANG names have, for the most part, really been kind of out of play, right? Amazon, what I have up here in the chart, right? This thing has been arguably the tightest range it's had in over a year. I mean, you might have to go back even further, right? I mean, like this is going back to 2017. I mean, you can see over the past like month and a half, this thing has really not done anything. Yes, you had a quick move up, right? But that just reversed straight back down on earnings, and then it's just basically been trading sideways. So, as we keep heading north, and as like there's a really steady grind, I mean, you're looking for names to participate, and what bigger names possible than like Amazon and Apple's, right? Netflix's, the Googles. I mean, a lot of the charts are really tight consolidations. What strikes me as interesting on Amazon, outside of a technical point of view, which I'll get into in a minute, is the option setup too. So what I like to do with a lot of these swing trades is I like to measure uh, the average monthly trading range, right? So basically, like the time period of like the trade. So if you're looking at like a week trade, then you know the average weekly trading range. If it's like a month trade, then it's like the average monthly trading range. And I mean, clearly December, November, and October were unusually volatile months, right? So I mean, like those monthly trading ranges were in like the 300-ish points, right? So from like mid 17s down to like the 14s, right? Saw it a couple times, 14s, 17s to 14s. So like those were 300. But if you go back, prior to when all that volatility stepped in, right? September, right? So September high, about over 2,000, low maybe mid 1800s. August, right? We got high 1700s to above 2000. So right there, you're averaging about 200 points, right? I mean, like just being like a rough estimate. Going back to July, right? 1700 up to like 1850, high 18s, and you get the point. So you basically say that like over a given month, backing out, not really considering what Amazon moved back just in December, November, and October, just because like those were unusually volatile. But just being maybe conservative over like the last 8 9 months, a given trading range for a monthly move on Amazon is between 150 and 200 points, right? So now what I'm looking at is a stock that's in a really tight technical consolidation, right? Just a really, really increasingly tight wedge. And you figure odds are this is going to break out or break down in the near future, right? I mean, like the point of this wedge is starting to get like increasingly narrow, and it's getting to like the critical inflection point where it's either going to break out or break down. My bias, just because the market's been so strong, right, and a lot of money has been rotating, and you're just basically been focusing on breakouts, is to the bull side. And what's interesting is, when I was looking at I was staring at Amazon, and I was looking at the options. So let me pull them up. So what you see is, so here's like the April. Here's like the April options. So these are actually 6 weeks, right? So you have 2 weeks remaining in March, 15th expiration, and then another month on top of that for April. So these are 6 weeks out. And right now, right here, you can see the straddle. It's only pricing in about 112, 113. So that's six. So that's a stock. So going back, right? So you can see right here. If I just do the 1640 straddle right here, let's say it's about 113 or so. Right? Just rough math, 115 if you want. So you go back. So what do we have? We have now a chart that's basically been in arguably its tightest consolidation in over a year, right? So there's like a coiled spring, right? It's a coiled spring, and when it finally goes, there's going to be a really significant pent-up move, right? I mean, that's what you love about consolidations. When they finally resolve, they're like a coiled spring, and you get the really sharp pent-up move, right? So you have a consolidating stock that's well off its highs, right? It gets a lot of traders' attention, and the options, so the April options that have 6 weeks left until expiration, are pricing in a move under essentially its average monthly trading range over like the previous 8 to 9 months. So it's just really interesting. I mean, like, one of the things about consolidations is that they can keep going on and on and on, and you don't really know when they're going to break. So sometimes you want to react, not anticipate. You want to react, but in this case, anticipating. Right, like the options are kind of an interesting scenario because they're not really reflecting the significant potential once it finally resolves this consolidation. Right, I mean, there's plenty of room lower. I mean, just to get to the 200-day would be almost 100 points right there. So it's just interesting, right? You really want to focus when we're in a market like this. You're focusing on what works. I mean, when it was in December, it was breakdowns, right? And in January, there was a lot of big reversals, a lot of options that were priced like under like the potential volatility. And now what's working is bullish breakouts, continuations, rotation, and then Amazon might start to fit that bill, and the options. Really are much more reasonable than you would expect for a stock that on an average month moves between 100 and 200 points. So take a look. Caught my radar, and I figured I'd put it on your guys' radar too. So it seems interesting. So I'd love to know what you think. What do you think about Amazon? What do you think about Apple? Right? Like there's a handful, and then really solid little bull flag. Netflix just kind of pushed up into 360. Google still hasn't gone yet, right? So. Again, I highlighted Amazon, but any 3 or 4 of those names, you can make that kind of like the same argument. So I'd love to hear what you think. Still plenty of earnings, and you can see. I mean, like today was a pretty wild day, even though the overall averages really haven't done a whole lot. So there's a lot of volatility under the surface in this market. Maybe not like a lot of moves in the overall averages on a day-to-day basis, but a lot of volatility under the surface, which is great for stock-specific setups, which is basically what we target. All right, guys. So keep an eye out for some more earnings trades coming up. Still plenty to look forward to. Still some potentially big movers. So keep an eye out for those. I hope you guys have a wonderful night, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow.